And it is Monday morning and we're here to bring you all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news. On today's show, the Tuchel hype continues. I'm going to have my say on Thomas Tuchel and why he looks like he's going to be the front runner to become Manchester United's new manager if Erik Ten Hag does depart, which is looking more and more likely. Also an update on the McTominay injury. What does this mean for him in the summer? If we were looking to sell him, can we even sell him now? Because it looks like his injury is going to be a really serious one. How does that impact the rest of our season with the games that we've got coming up? He is an important player for us right now. Going to talk about that. Also, some news coming out around Todibo and Araujo from Barcelona, where Manchester United's priorities lie in terms of centre-backs going into the summer. Also, lots of stuff coming out about Erik Ten Hag. I've done my own little bit of research on a few things, and there's some things I want to bring in. I want to talk about the spending of Erik Ten Hag and how there's kind of been a little bit of propaganda out there that, for me, doesn't tell the full story about the amount of money that Erik Ten Hag has spent and the direction that we're going to go in and how much more money needs to be spent. And people have failed to understand the amount of players that we've let go. We're going to talk a little bit about that and the actual overall quality of the squad that Erik Ten Hag's dealing with. Also going to talk a little bit about the creativity within the team and where Manchester United are failing and where we need to look at ourselves as a fan base of what are we hyping up and encouraging, and realistically what do we actually need to get onto the level where we're creating chances for Rasmus Hojlund, where we're creating as a team, because everyone loves, a winger that's got a lot of pace, that cuts in and shoots, but the realistic fact of the matter is that's not doing us any favours in creating chances for a number 9 in Rasmus Hojlund. Interesting fact for you. Interesting fact just to kick off the show. Rasmus Hojlund received more passes from Andre Onana, 4, than any other Manchester United player on the pitch against Burnley at Old Trafford. Most passes Hojlund received against Burnley at Old Trafford from that Manchester United team was from Onana, the goalkeeper, and that was 4. Just a quick start to kick off the show. So I want to get into it. I want to talk about it with you guys. And yeah, let's get on with the show. So first things first, I wanted to just quickly speak about the McTominay injury. I know Mark's already spoke about this and we already know about this, but McTominay's injury, it looks bad. There's going to be a scan on it today, but the early signs are it's really concerning. And to be honest, from the way he went down at Old Trafford, and McTominay, he's not the type of player that's going to exaggerate an injury. He's tough. He's one of them players that will just shake anything off and kind of get on with it and move on with it. McTominay, I think this injury is quite serious with him. He could be out for the rest of the season. That is a possibility. He could even be out for 6 months. It looked like a bad one when he went down. I hope he's not. I really hope when we have the scan today, it was just a worry and it's not as bad as what we think. But McTominay could be out for a long time. This throws a spanner in the works because, here's a question for you. Would you sell McTominay or would you keep him? I think after this season, a lot of people would keep him as a squad player. And to be honest, I would keep him as a squad player. I know people are going to be annoyed at me for that because I've always said I think McTominay should be sold, but I would be looking to keep him as a squad player, not as a starter, as someone to bring off the bench. I think he's earned that right this season through his performances, but you've also look at the fact McTominay is a new contract is coming up. Oftentimes you get good performances when that happens, but a lot of people are thinking, if a good offer came in for in the summer, 30, 35 million into Manchester United's pockets going into the summer transfer window, that could be good for us. That will be off the table if McTominay's injured. If McTominay's injured, there's not even an option of selling him. And we've been told by Romano for the whole of 2024 that McTominay isn't a player that's absolutely safe at Manchester United. If a good offer comes in, then they'd be open to selling him, but he's not somebody that Man United are actively looking to sell. So whether we were going to sell McTominay or not, whether a good offer came in for him or not, I think he was always going to stay. And I wouldn't have minded it if it was a squad player. Bear in mind, Amrabat's going back, Eriksen's going to go, Casemiro's going to go. You can't get rid of your whole midfield in one summer. And I don't trust Manchester United to replace all of them positions. We already need to replace Eriksen. We already need to replace Casemiro. Amrabat's not staying. McTominay, I feel like was going to stay anyway. But if we were going to sell him, then that is going to be off the table with this injury. And this is where the title comes in as well. On the thumbnail, end the season now. Is anyone? I really don't want to be negative because I always try and be positive around Manchester United, but the fact that after we drew against Burnley, like there's not really been any kickback or any uproar about it. Burnley are not a good team. They have been so poor this season. They're in the relegation zone. They're probably going to get relegated. We drew against them. They had decent amount of chances to beat us, to be honest, probably. Even though I think we should have won the game. Like, they had decent amount of chances to win us. Nobody's even that bothered. Like, it feels like it feels like it's expected. Like, every week I'm watching United and I don't enjoy watching it. Like, I don't enjoy watching it in the moment. It's really sad. Like, this is the point we're at, and it just feels like injury after injury with the McTominay thing, bad performance after bad performance with the Burnley game. It just feels like the season needs to end, and I just thank God we've got an FA Cup final to look forward to, because if we didn't have that, I'd literally have nothing to like kind of get excited for. I'm excited for that because anything can happen on a one-off day against any team. I mean, I don't think United will win it, but anything can happen. But God, this season, it's one to forget. And these injuries are not helping. Another injury from McTominay, someone that was going to be important for us coming into the later games of the season and going to be important for us in that City game as well. So it's frustrating. It really is frustrating. Going to talk about Ten Hag in a second as well. Carlos says, good morning, Beth. You are looking gorgeous as always. Keep up the brilliant work. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you, Carlos, for your super chat. I really appreciate that. Not feeling great today, but powering through, bringing the show to you guys, and really appreciate super chats like that. How are we feeling about Ten Hag in the chat? I didn't have a chance to watch the 8 p.m. show yesterday, so I couldn't really see how people are feeling after that Burnley game, but get in the chat how you're feeling about that, how you're feeling about Thomas Tuchel as well. Going to talk about that. Matthew Gartel says, I reckon Ashworth will keep him. Well, that's what I'm saying. With McTominay, I don't think there's really going to be an option, even if we wanted to sell him. Like, now he's injured, that sale's going to be off the table, I think. Which, don't want him to be injured, but I think people are like, yeah, let's get rid of this player, let's get rid of that player, let's get rid of that player. We've not even got a sporting director in yet. Jason Wilcox has just started and he's not even the sporting director. He's going to be working under Dan Ashworth when Dan Ashworth comes in. Omar Barada can't start until mid-July, is it? Or is it the start of July? Like, we're not going to... I know there's players that we're going to get rid of, and people keep talking about an overhaul at Manchester United. The players we're getting rid of, Martial, Donny van der Beek, probably Facundo Pellistri. Ahmad might come into that equation. I don't want him to, but he might come into that equation. Lindelof could be another one. It really is kind of the fringe players. And then, you'll probably start to get into, the McTominays and the Maguires later on. Wan-Bissaka, that's another one that might be on the to-go list, but might not be. I understand Wan-Bissaka probably should move on. Maguire, as good as he's been this season, is he the future? Not sure. Well, I know he's not the future as a starter, but he's been good this season. McTominay, he's not a starter, he's a squad player. Is that a position we can look to improve? Of course, all these players, like, you look at them and you think, yeah, if you're going to want to win a Premier League or a Champions League, you want to compete, we've got to upgrade. But the first thing Man United is going to do is all the deadwood is going to be the thing that's approached first, and I just don't think you can do it all in one summer. But talking about the centre backs, then we'll move on to Ten Hag and Thomas Tuchel in a second. So, I mean, this is just news that we've heard from Fabrizio Romano for a long time. But United Muppeteers put it out, I think it was last night or this morning. I was scrolling through Twitter today and I saw that, and they have very, very, very good insight into the club. I don't know where they get their information from, I don't know, but they've got very good insight into the club and they put this out, so I wanted to bring it in. When we're looking at Todibo, I had thought this deal might have cooled off, but then we had Romano on the show a week ago or so, and he said no, Todibo's very much on. He wants Manchester United. Well, he didn't say specifically he wants Manchester United. He wants the Premier League. He'd want the Premier League over Atletico Madrid when them rumours came out, because Atletico Madrid are interested in Todibo. They are interested, but if Todibo had the choice, he'd pick the Premier League. And he fits what Manchester United want profile-wise. He did say it depends on the manager, who the manager is, because, you could get a new manager in and they could look at Todibo and be like, you know what, no, I'm not feeling that, I want somebody else. Just the same way Ten Hag came in and we were going to go for... We're going to go for Pau Torres, weren't we? and he said, no, I want Jurriën Timber, and then we ended up with Sandro Martinez. But Todibo is a name that's been at the top of Manchester United's list for a very, very long time, and he is going to move from Nice this summer. Sir Jim Ratcliffe has 25% ownership in Manchester United. He also has ownership in Nice. Like, it just looks like a deal that has to be done. So it came out from United Muppeteers. As per my understanding, Todibo definitely remains of interest for United this summer. Price expected to be around €40 million. Player looking for a move this summer, with other clubs expected to bid. Should be no issue with the multi-club ownership aspect and fair value in a deal. Tell us something we don't know. Obviously, I'm not throwing any disrespect to Muppeteers. They do have a lot of good information, but that's something that we've heard on the show. That's nothing new to us. We've heard that from Romano for months now. Like, we know it's going to be around 40 to 45 million, which is what Muppeteers said, just backing up the points that we already know. Todibo wants to move. The only thing that I'm getting from this, which gives me more reassurance, is that it shouldn't be an issue with the multi-club ownership aspect. And obviously, when we're looking at buying players this summer, there's so many players we need, there's so many positions we need. You look at a Branthwaite, I'd love to go and get Branthwaite. I think he's a top player. I know he had a wobble against, who did he have a wobble against? Chelsea the other week. He's a young 21-year-old player playing in the Premier League. Like, I'd love to get Branthwaite. He's probably going to be 70, 75 million. We can't afford 70, 75 million. We've got to cut our cloth accordingly. Like, you've got to cut your cloth accordingly. Todibo, 40, 45 million, that works brilliantly for us. It really does. It's like you're moving out from, like, your parents' house. I'm doing my best analogy bridge now, aren't I? It's like you're moving out from your parents' house and, you know, you're on a decent wage, but you're not, you know, on crazy money yet. You're just kind of working your way up the ladder in your career. You're moving out, you're getting a new house, but, you know, the house also needs new windows, it needs a new door. You might want underfloor heating getting put in. You could also do with an upgrade on your car. You've got a lot of things that you need to do. So instead of going buying as like your new car, I don't know, like the latest Porsche or a new Audi or something like that, you get something practical, something still nice, but you get something practical. For example, you might get like a Volkswagen Polo or something like that, and then you can use the rest of the money to help do up your house. You can get the new windows in, you can get the underfloor heating put in, you can get the foundations in place, and then maybe later on down the line, when everything's stable, you can afford to go and splash some money on something really luxurious, something top quality, something that's really expensive. That's where Man United are at the minute. Like, we can't afford to go and spunk our whole budget on one player of real quality. And of course you want quality players, but you need to look around for good value. Like Todibo, he's still a quality player. I'm not saying Branthwaite's like levels above him. I'm not saying that. I think Todibo is a quality player, but you're getting him at the right time. You know, it's like a top quality. So you're getting like your new carpets put in. It's a top quality carpet, but it's maybe at a bit of a discounted price because it's last season's or something like that. It's like Todibo is a player that Nice are probably going to look into cash in on. So it's a better value for money, I would say. You're looking at value for money is what I'm trying to get the point across, and that's where United's at now. So I think Todibo is absolutely a deal that Manchester United would do. It wouldn't surprise me if it's like the first transfer that we make this summer, and I'd be very happy with it because I do think he's not the finished article. He's still young, but there's a lot to like about Todibo, a lot to like about him, and I think he suits the way that we're looking to play moving forward. That might change if Erik Ten Hag does if he is removed as Manchester United manager, though. Billionaire Kofi says the coaches are letting Erik Ten Hag down. They need to be changed. I mean, how do you know that the coaches are letting Ten Hag down? Like, you don't know what goes on in training. Like, everyone used to slag off Kieran McKenna and Michael Carrick, and they're doing fantastically. Like, Kieran McKenna might do back-to-back promotions with Ipswich. He's got manager of the season in the Championship. He's doing brilliantly. And Michael Carrick is doing really well too. Like, people always go in on the coaching staff, but you don't know what goes on the training ground. Thank you for your super chat, but we don't know. how good the coaches are behind the scenes, because we don't see it, do we? Into Yanan, interesting name there, says, in your opinion, has Maguire earned a place in the England squad? Maguire will absolutely go to England, and he should go. Like, we don't have a great selection of centre-backs. Not in Manchester United. Well, at Manchester United we don't either, but at England, and Maguire's got experience, and he's played well for England. And this season, you can't say he hasn't earned his spot. He's been United's best centre back this season. Maybe Varane, actually, to be fair, but him and Varane have been United's best centre backs, and I think he should go to England. Yeah, usually I'd be like, based off how he's played in recent years, I'd be like, no, but this season he's been integral for Manchester United. And then the little bit afterwards, because we spoke about Todibo there, is Manchester United keeps getting linked to Araujo from Barcelona. I think Araujo's decent, but apparently he's going to be like 80 million, and he has a lot of mistakes in him. It's an absolute no. He has a lot of mistakes in him. He's going to be around 80 million apparently from Barcelona. Barcelona probably need the money. For me, it's just not a player that'd be high up on my list at all. And Muppet's come out and said Todibo is a more realistic option than Araujo, who is highly admired but double the price and has a significant injury record. Fits the profile being looked at as far as age and physical and technical attributes as well. That's what I mean. Like, Araujo is decent, like I said, like Muppet said, fits the profile in terms of age and physical attributes and technical attributes. He is physical. He is good on the ball. He is a young player. We want a player in their early 20s, that's obvious. But he has a lot of injuries, and I don't think he's all that. I think he is a bit overrated. I think he has got a lot of mistakes in him. It's not somebody that I'd be going for 80 million. Like, if you're offering me Todibo for 40 or Araujo for 80, I'd absolutely laugh myself silly if you chose the Araujo for 80. Like, it's just, as much as I think Araujo is a decent player, it's just not value for money. And like I said, Man United need to be astute in this market. We need to go for value for money. And for me, it's much of a muchness. So I would go for Todibo, especially for the price. And I think if Araujo didn't play for a club like Barcelona, no one would be really talking about going for him. I think he gets a lot of hype based off the club he plays for. Like I said, I think he's decent, but I don't think he's anything special. Pass Maya says, what about Jared Branthwaite? I know he'll be expensive, but he's young too. Where have you been? Are you only just tuning in? I'm joking. Where have you been for the last, how long have I been live for now? 17 minutes. I just literally did, if you want to know about what I think on Branthwaite, rewind about 10 minutes ago. I said that Branthwaite is a good player. I did a whole analogy on it. A good player, top quality player actually, I think is a United player. I see him as a United player. I wish we had more money, because I would go for Branthwaite. But we can't afford to spend 75 million on one player. We just can't afford to do it. It's like I said, as much as I really rate João Neves from Benfica, rate João Neves so highly. I think he's a United player. We can't afford to spend 100 million on a midfielder. We can't afford to be spending above like 50, 60 million per player, in my opinion, considering the amount of positions we need. Like, we need a striker, we need a left back, we need arguably two centre backs. Like, people talking about Frimpong, we need one midfielder at least. Then you're looking at 6 positions, and people are saying like Branthwaite for 75 million, João Neves for 100 million. It just can't happen. We either need to spend low on a couple of them positions, very low, and then you can spend a bit more on a couple, or you need to even it out and you need to spend around 40, 50 million per position. And obviously a bit less in some cases. We know the left back we're going to go for is going to be around 20 mil. Like, as much as I like Branthwaite, as much as I like João Neves, I really rate these players. Like, if I had a list and I could go and pick players to come into Manchester United this summer, Branthwaite and João Neves would both be at the top. But we can't afford them based on the positions that we need. And it's like we need a striker desperately. Strikers aren't cheap. They're expensive. They're expensive positions. You know, we're going to be looking at a midfielder. They're expensive positions. It's just Man United need to work out the priorities and how much they're willing to spend. And this is the thing, I don't even know what Man United's budget is, and I don't think United know that yet. I don't think there's much planning at all gone into this summer yet. And I'm fearful of that because we've not been able to put the squad together behind the scenes. No one's been able to tell us realistically what our budget is. I mean, there was talks coming out from Mark Ogden that's going to be around 100 mil. I think it will be more than that. We don't know how much we're going to get from sales because that obviously has a massive impact. I don't know what budget we're going to have to work with, but from what we've been told, it's not going to be a big one. So as much as I want these players, like, we just can't afford him. Someone, again in the chat, Spiritual says, Elise will cost you at least 60 million. Elise, again, is a no from me. It's a no from me. As highly as I rate him, I just don't think we should be spending 60 million on a winger right now. I don't think we should. Realistically, how much are we going to get back from Sancho? We heard yesterday from Romano that Dortmund are doing everything they can to try and put together a deal for United. It's not going to be a lot of money. We're going to lose money. 60 million on Elise, again, quality player. If we had unlimited funds, I'd bring him in. We need a creative winger. I absolutely agree. We need someone who's going to be creative. But 60 million, that could be spent on a position that for me is of higher priority. Mark O, Glazers out member for 2 months, says massive clear out and raid the Prem for genuine quality. Poor footballers, definitely not professional athletes. Rashford out. I hate this team. Mark's feeling it. Marco is feeling it this morning. Here's one. S. Madison said Elise is better than all our wingers combined, but he doesn't track back, by the way. Do you know what it is with Elise? It's a different profile. I am going to move on to Tuchel and Ten Hag now, but I might as well bring this in at this point. So, for me, the profile of Elise, big tick. I think he's the creative winger that we need. However, based on everything we need in our team, I wouldn't be spending 60 million on him because I don't think a winger is a priority. But just to play devil's advocate, people always say I contradict myself. I show both sides of the coin. I show a balanced argument. In my opinion, I feel like I do. But this is an interesting stat that I'd seen this morning, and it really made me think. So, Manchester United, guess in the comments before I read them out. Manchester United's top 4 creators, basically how many chances that these players have created over the last 3 seasons. So who do you think Manchester United's top 4 creators have been over the last 3 seasons, player-wise? This is going to be interesting for you guys. Who are Manchester United's top 4 creators over the past 3 seasons? You've got to remember, Garnacho only came through within the last 2 years and only has been a regular starter this year. So it's unfair to kind of judge him on this because we're talking about the last 3 seasons. So, Bruno Fernandes is obviously top by a country mile, by the way. Bruno Fernandes, 316. The second it has 86. So this shows how little we are creating chances besides from Bruno Fernandes. So Bruno Fernandes is top with 316. We all knew that was going to be the case. In second is Jadon Sancho with 86. So you go from 316 with Bruno Fernandes to Jadon Sancho in 86. And for me, people who love Jadon Sancho use this as a way to big Jadon Sancho up, and I'm going to give him credit where credit's due. You know, you're in second spot over the 3 seasons. But what I would say is I think that shows outside of Bruno, we have nothing creativity-wise. Nothing. Because Jadon Sancho is second with 86. Jadon Sancho hasn't played at all this season. He barely played last season, but he's still second and way above, you know, players that are playing week in, week out for Manchester United on a regular basis. That's an issue for us. So outside of Bruno, we're not creating. And in second spot is Jadon Sancho, which is, you know what, fair play to him, but he's barely played. He's barely played for Man United within the last 3 seasons. Third was Diogo Dalot with 79. I can understand that, you know, overlapping fullback that gets forward. And then fourth is Marcus Rashford with 64. Obviously, Marcus Rashford plays nearly every single game. You'd expect him to be up there. He's a forward player. But, you know, Rashford plays in Sancho's position. Sancho's barely played and Sancho's still above him for chances created. Doesn't that show you the different type of wingers that we have? And I wanted to bring this into the Elise conversation because, you know, and I wanted to look at what are we applauding at Manchester United? And as much as I think Jadon Sancho shouldn't come back due to what happened in terms of disciplinary reasons, I've never said he's not a good player. Like, I've never said he's not got the talent. But I'm not saying bring Sancho back. I've always said, I think what happened with the manager, like, you can't come back from that personally unless he was willing to apologise, and he never did apologise. I'm all about second chances. He didn't apologise. Don't want to get into the Jadon Sancho saga right now. I'm just talking about purely based on creating chances. People say, you know, Rasmus is so hungry for chances. We never create. We never look like a team that's going to score goals. And I agree, like, we don't create that much. We don't. But we've got a situation that over the past 3 seasons, apart from Bruno, our second most creative player has barely even played for us. And the guy who plays in his position, Rashford, plays every single game. He's 20 chances less than him over 3 seasons. 3 seasons, and he's played, God knows, thousands more minutes, I would say. And he's a regular starter in our forward line. And, you know, Rashford is in the top 4, to be fair, but you've got, like, we're just not creating that much. And that's an issue. And it's like we have, you know, 2 wingers in Marcus Rashford and Alejandro Garnacho who are both direct, pacey wingers that love to cut in and shoot. To be fair, Garnacho has passes a lot more recently, but these 2 players do love to cut in and shoot. Like, they can pass it, but when it's a rarity and you think, oh my gosh, they've just crossed it in. Oh my gosh, they've just passed it. And you can have wingers like that. Like, you should have wingers like that. But you need a balance. You also need a winger that's going to be keeping it simple, creating chances, getting crosses into Rasmus Hojlund, you know, intricate passes on the edge in the box, going to involve the fullback overlapping. So I think Rashford and Garnacho are very similar profiles. If you have both of them playing, you've got 2 direct wingers and a target man striker in the box. Like, if you were going to play, this is what I've been thinking about. If you were going to play with Rashford and Garnacho as your starting 2 wingers, you need someone like Martial as a striker. And stay with me here. You need a facilitating number 9 because you're having your goal outlet come from your wingers. Like, this is obviously a much better quality comparison. But at Liverpool, you had Salah and Mane, like one of the best front threes the Premier League have seen, Salah, Mane and Firmino. You had Salah and Mane and they were your goal outlets. They were the players that were scoring you the goals. They were where the goals were coming from. And you had Firmino as the facilitating number 9. Of course, Firmino chipped in with goals, but the reason why Klopp loved him and played him every game, he wasn't the most prolific goal scorer, he wasn't the best number 9 the Premier League has ever seen, but he facilitated Salah and Mane. He did the hard work, he was good at linking up the play, he chipped in with goals here and there, but he facilitated the wingers. And it's like with Rashford, Greenwood and Martial. That was a good front 3 because Martial facilitated Greenwood and Rashford. They were the goal scorers, really. Martial obviously did score. He had a very high scoring season, but he could facilitate. If you're going to play with Garnacho and Rashford as your main goal scorers, there's not a point in having a target man there with Hojlund, who thrives off service and he's an in the box sort of striker. Of course, you know, Hojlund's good at getting in behind. His hold up play will improve. But if you're going to play with Garnacho and Rashford, they're your main goal outlets because they're both direct wingers that are going to want to cut in and shoot, and both their first thought is, I want to score a goal. So you'd want a facilitating number 9. But we don't have that. We have a situation when we have 2 wingers that want to go and score goals and also a target man who wants to score goals and needs service. It doesn't work. So Ten Hag, or whoever the new manager is, needs to decide what they want to do. Because if you want to play with Rasmus Hojlund being your number 9 as your main goal scorer, Elise makes sense. Ahmad makes sense. You know, people won't want to hear it. Anthony makes sense. Anthony can be selfish, but also he is a possession-based winger as well. So that's kind of what I'm going on this massive tangent here, but that's what I've been thinking about, and that's why I don't understand why Ten Hag's so reluctant to play Amad Diallo, because he's someone that's going to create for you. You're playing with Rasmus Hojlund, who needs someone who's going to create for him. And that's why, like, you know, you bring in Elise in. Is Ten Hag even going to want to play him? Realistically, we know it's someone that the scouting department has given a green light to, and so have INEOS, but he's not a direct winger that takes on his... Well, he can take on his man, but he's not a winger that's going to go out with you with huge pace. He's a winger that's going to create for you. And that's what we need, I think. And we need a balance. You need a balance. You need someone who's going to create, and you could do with like a direct winger as well. So you could have Hojlund in the middle, you could have a Garnacho on the left and an Elise on the right, or a Garnacho on the left and an Ahmad on the right. Having, you know, maybe having a little bit of a balance there. But for me, it's something where we've gone wrong is, one, we're not creating enough chances throughout the whole team. Like the fact Jadon Sancho is second is mind-blowing. After 3 seasons, second in chances created. It shows the little chances we're creating. But also, we need to work out what we're going to do with our front 3. Because at the moment, it's not working. It isn't working. It hasn't worked all season. We've had ups and downs, but we're not scoring enough goals. We're not creating enough chances. We're not utilising creative wingers for our striker. And it's an imbalance, and it's something that needs to be addressed. It really does. Anyway, guys, wanted to talk about that. Super Arch says Pellistri is barely hanging on with his loan spell, needs to bulk up some more. I've not really been watching Pellistri, to be honest, on his loan spell, but I know he did score for Granada the other day. Someone in the chat says play Hojlund as a winger. Definitely not. He's definitely not a winger. But yeah, get in the chat what you're thinking. Would you rather get in some creative wingers to play for Rasmus, or... You know, Man United are looking at a striker. Would you rather get in a facilitating number 9 so we could play with direct wingers? Get in the comments what you would want to do. Romana Arnold, member for 3 months. Please do a poll on trading Sancho with the centre-back of Dortmund. His name is Nicola Cedric Schlotterbeck. Would you see Marcus to PSG or have Xavi? I don't think Rashford's going anywhere, and Xavi's going to end up staying at Barcelona. So both of them points, I don't see him happening. Sanil Dewan says forgive Greenwood and play him on the right wing. That's your opinion. Greenwood's going to go at the end of the season. Ray Calbrown Amory, member for 60 months. Keep the faith, Beth. We always come good no matter how bad we are this season. It's hard to keep the faith when you just keep seeing these really poor performances over and over again. So yeah, what would you rather do? You know, you've got a situation where you could... Man United are in the market for a striker this summer. You could go for someone of a completely different attributes than Hojlund, and then, you know, facilitating number 9, and you'd probably have more luck with your wingers in Rashford and Garnacho. But that doesn't make sense to me. If we're leading the future with Hojlund, which I think we should be, if Hojlund's injured or, you know, he's not playing, you want someone as a similar profile, in my opinion, so you play in the same type of football all the time. For me, we need more creativity coming from the wings, and we also need another striker as well. But I still think, striker-wise, we need someone that's as similar attributes to Rasmus Hojlund. So, 1, Rasmus Hojlund can learn off them, and he can develop. I keep banging the same drum, Ivan Toney. And 2, when he's out the team, you're playing similar sort of football, and the team continues to play the similar sort of football, and you have your own style continuously going. So that's the way I'd go with it, personally. But it's something that United need to work out. James Cave says, going back to getting good value signings, it also needs to help to take the pressure off players themselves. It's been a problem so often. Thank you, James, for your super chat. A lot of people, you know, been really critical of Rasmus recently. I've said we need an experienced striker to come in to help him out. I think going for a younger striker is not the way forward. It's too much pressure on them 2 young players. We need someone experienced and who's ready to go now. But at the same time, I think Rasmus has been a little bit unfairly criticised. He doesn't get any service. He's living off scraps. And I don't necessarily think it helps the fact he's in training every week and he's got nobody to help him. I questioned the coaching staff a little bit because sometimes, I'm seeing making these runs and I'm thinking he should be making, his runs need to be a little bit more intelligent, I'm going to be honest. But also, you look towards training and it's like other players had Cavani. Imagine having Cavani there to help Rasmus Hojlund. You have Cavani, you had Ronaldo. Imagine if we still had Ronaldo. They had players to look up to. Ibrahimovic. We've had players like this in United's training ground. Rasmus Hojlund, if they were to do a striker training session, it'd be one-man band. It'd be him on his own. He's got no one there to help him. He's 21. He's just come into the Premier League. He had his first proper season last season. It wasn't even a full season for Atalanta. Give the guy a break. He's scored over 10 Premier League goals. How many Premier League goals? He scored over 10 goals this season, which was more. Remember when Rasmus Hojlund first came in and we said this is a player for the future. He scored 8 Premier League goals and he scored 13 goals overall across the season. We said we didn't know it, or 14. I think it's 13. We said we didn't even know if he'd get 10 based on where he'd come from at Atalanta and the inexperience. He's got bags of ability and bags of potential. But to expect him to come into that team and that graveyard shift and put up, 20 goals in a season, it was never going to happen. And people need to get off his back a little bit because we're not scoring goals. People want someone to blame. I think Rasmus Hojlund needs to make more intelligent runs. I think he needs more help on the training ground. Absolutely. And he would probably even say that himself, he needs to improve. But he works incredibly hard. He's got bags of potential. He needs help. We need an experienced striker to come in and help him. And that doesn't mean I don't want Rasmus to be our future. That doesn't mean I want someone to play instead of Rasmus. I want Rasmus to be our future. I see a future with him, but he needs help. And it'd benefit the player massively if we brought someone in like an Ivan Toney. I tell you that. It won't stop his development. It won't kill off his game time. It will help him because he'll have someone behind the scenes that can help him. He'll have someone to compete with, which is always healthy. And, I think he's even said in interviews himself, I doubt he would have even expected to play this many minutes this season. So, he's played against Sheffield United, played against Burnley, played against Coventry, 3 games in the space of, just over the space of a week. A lot of minutes at his age, running his socks off. It's going to take a toll. There needs to be somebody else as well. Romana Arnold said, Would you trade Rashford with Xavi Simons? Yes, if I had the opportunity to, I would, personally. At this moment in time, yes, I would. But anyway, let's move on with the Ten Hag and Tuchel stuff as well. So, wanted to get in. God, this show is absolutely flying. Got so much more I wanted to get into. I'll go through this quite quickly. So, Thomas Tuchel looks. There's a different front runner for the Manchester United job every week now. It seems to be a phase where we go through. Then it was Southgate. Then it went on to Potter for a bit. Then it went back to Southgate. Then De Zerbi was the big craze, and now it's Thomas Tuchel coming for the job at Manchester United. So, a few things to bring in. Peter Schmeichel has had his say on Thomas Tuchel, who is getting all the headlines at the minute and seems to be the front runner for the Manchester United job. Going to get a poll running. Tuchel or Erik Ten Hag. We'll get that going in the chat. So, Peter Schmeichel believes that Thomas Tuchel has the kind of pedigree to manage Manchester United if Erik Ten Hag was to be sacked at the end of the season. So, he said a few things to BN Sports. He said, I like Thomas Tuchel. I've had the pleasure of interviewing him a couple of times and his football knowledge is fantastic. He's been a little bit unlucky with being at 2 big football clubs at the wrong time of their history. At times, things weren't working on every level. It's not that he didn't do well at Chelsea, for instance. He won the Champions League, didn't he? I just like him. There's something about him. He projects authority. Never compare people, but he's got the kind of thing that Jurgen Klopp has. You know he's the boss and you know what he's doing. So that's Peter Schmeichel on Thomas Tuchel. A couple of things I would say on that is he speaks about he's been unlucky how he's been at two big football clubs at the wrong time of their history. I mean, and where things weren't working at every level. Welcome to Man United, mate. Like, things have not been working on Manchester United at every level for a long time. Loads of managers have come to Man United and they've been tarnished with that brush as well. If Erik Ten Hag ends up leaving, you know, if he ends up going on doing well, people are going to say, oh, he was at United at the wrong time. If only he came in when, you know, after Sir Jim had got his foot in the door and got things sorted out. You know, maybe it'll be different if Tuchel came into United now, because it is going to be the era of Sir Jim Ratcliffe, and maybe he's avoided like the turbulence of Man United of the past. But I still think it'll take Sir Jim Ratcliffe a bit of time to to steady the ship and get things working properly. So it's kind of the same situation. He'd be coming into a club that's unstable again. And true, he's won the Champions League at Chelsea. What he did at Chelsea, I really respect. Like, I think Tuchel was very good at Chelsea. And I agree, he's got personality. He's got personality. That's a big check in his box. He's a touchline manager. He has passion. He has personality. But for me, I just don't think he's the guy. I don't. It's like, if you look at Bayern Munich, they've not won the Bundesliga under Tuchel for the first time in 11 years. Like, people talk about Ten Hag stats. That's a bad stat to have on your back as a manager. And also, they got knocked out of their cup in the second round. Okay, they're doing well in the Champions League. And I want Bayern Munich to win the Champions League because I want Harry Kane to win one. I think he deserves to. He's one of the best strikers I think the Premier League's ever seen. I think he gets tarnished a lot with this loser label. And I think it's a shame if such a good footballer like that doesn't win something. So I want Bayern to win it for that reason. And he is in a Champions League semi-final. You've got to give him credit there. But I just don't know, like, overall, does his play style suit us? He's not an option where I'm like, absolutely not with Thomas Tuchel. Do you know what I mean? So whereas it's like Southgate and Potter, I'm like, absolutely not. If Ten Hag did leave and we got Tuchel, and Tuchel did get the job, I'd get behind it. And I'd sort of have a little bit of excitement towards it, a little bit of optimism. Like, it wouldn't be one that I'd massively turn my nose up at and be like, absolutely not. But it's also not one that I'm completely sold on. Out of all the options we've been linked to, he's towards the top. But that's just because I just don't think there's many good options out there at the moment for Manchester United. But, yeah. Get in the comments what you think about Thomas Tuchel. One thing I would say about Thomas Tuchel is what would concern and worry me is this quote. This quote that's from Bayern's honorary president on Thomas Tuchel. He doesn't think he can improve a Davies or a Musiala. If it doesn't work, then you should buy somebody else. This is what Bayern's honorary president said during a panel discussion hosted by the Frankfurter newspaper. He said, I think you should work hard with them and give them confidence. And he said that he thinks that the coach should expect to improve young players. But then he's originally said about Thomas Tuchel, if it doesn't work, he thinks you should buy someone else, and he doesn't think he can improve a Davies or a Musiala. That worries me a little bit, because even if Ten Hag is sacked, I'd want to bring a manager in that's going to work with youth. Because one thing about Ten Hag that I do massively like is the way he's brought through the youth, the way he gives a chance to the youth, the way he's brought through Kobbie Mainoo, the way he's brought through Alejandro Garnacho, Willy Kambuala. You know, the way that we've got such a promising youth there to be looked at now with Harry Armas coming through, you know, the Fletcher twins that look really promising. Ethan Wheatley's another one. You know, you've got promising youth coming through, and I just don't want that to be put on the back burner. And for me, a big must for a new coach coming into Manchester United is that he continues the work that Erik Ten Hag's done on the youth and bringing youth through, because it's a huge part of Manchester United. So that's one thing that worries me about Thomas Tuchel, is will he be able to work with the youth? Because, you know, the Bayern honorary president has said that he doesn't that if it doesn't work, he thinks you could buy someone else when it comes to a young player. That's not what I want. I want a manager that's going to work with young players and give them confidence and improve them. So that's something just to watch out on the Tuchel front. Get in the poll down below though who you would want, Thomas Tuchel or Erik Ten Hag. Got something coming in here. Oh, so what I was talking about before, this is coming in from Samuel Luckhurst. Manchester United are eyeing 2 centre-back signings in the summer transfer window. Praise the Lord, hallelujah. We need centre-backs massively. We need centre-backs, and I was very worried we'd only go for 1. And Samuel Luckhurst has said that Jared Branthwaite and Edmund Tapsoba are both among players that Manchester United have tracked to address their defence. First and foremost, don't doubt it, because we've had Romano on the show for months saying that Branthwaite and Tapsoba are both high on our list, as well as Todibo, as well as Gleison Bremer. Like, we know the centre-backs that Manchester United are looking at. Like I said before, I'm not going over old ground. Branthwaite, I think, will end up being too expensive, but I know Man United will work hard to try and get a good price on that. Romano said Man United want him, it's just the price. Tapsoba, he's going to be too expensive. Romano said that. We massively highly rate him. He's someone on our list. But I think Tapsoba, especially with the amount of players that Leverkusen are going to sell this summer and the amount of interest they've got, Tapsoba's going to have a big price tag on him. And, you know, they've got a lot of interest on a lot of different players, Leverkusen. They're not going to let them all go. So I think Tapsoba, for me, won't happen. Jared Branthwaite could happen. It just depends on the price. Also, he's put out there, Samuel Luckhurst, that Manchester United are open to offers for Aaron Wan-Bissaka in the summer. Again, it's the right move. We want Frimpong. Man United are interested in Frimpong. We can only get Frimpong if we sell Aaron Wan-Bissaka. So that's something that the club need to make a decision on in terms of whether we're going to do that. I think Wan-Bissaka should go, personally. I went a bit in on him on the forum. There's nothing wrong with, like, I don't want to be harsh because he's got a good attitude. He plays for the badge, but that's not enough. Going forward, Aaron Wan-Bissaka's just not got the attributes that a top club needs. He's not a player for a top club. He offers nothing going forward. He's actually a hindrance for us going forward. And Man United need a fullback that can do both. Like, you look at the difference between Dalot and Wan-Bissaka going forward, and it's night and day. We need a fullback that can go forward, and Wan-Bissaka just can't do it, like, at the level that Manchester United need. It doesn't help the winger. It doesn't help creating chances for us, and he's massively stand out in games, you know, the Sheffield United games, the Burnley games, where we're going to have a bit of possession. Just doesn't know what to do with it. You know, the games against Liverpool where you're marking a winger like a Salah, or the games against, you know, Chelsea where you're marking, you know, I don't know, like a Mudryk or something like that, Sterling. Wan-Bissaka comes, that's where he's good. He can mark someone one-on-one, he can lock someone out of a game. But overall, that's not what you're looking for at a top club, at a top team. You need fullbacks that are massively influential in getting involved. I mean, look how crucial Ben White has been for Arsenal this season. You know, it's just, you have to have a fullback that is of top quality in the modern game. I think they're so important, and Wan-Bissaka just doesn't hit the mark for me. So I think we should get rid of Wan-Bissaka personally. I think he should go. And I would bring in Frimpong as his replacement for 34 million if that's something we're looking at doing. I think that would be the right direction to go in. Would you want Ten Hag or Tuchel? Get in your comments down below. I'm going to vote on this. What do you think my vote is, by the way? I'm still Ten Hag in. I don't know how, because this football is boring me to tears. But I think I'm just looking at the fact that I think he deserves a chance under the new structure, and I'm kind of writing this season off. Let me get a few of your comments in. Wilson Pereira says he didn't really bring youth in. He had no options because of the injuries. Mostly he will play his favourites, not the one in form. Injustice to Ahmad is an example. P. Potsy says, I don't want Frimpong. In my opinion, he's suspect defensively and he's been playing as a winger by a Leverkusen. Well, I keep saying that with Frimpong. It's the release clause for me that's making me think, yeah. And the fact that he is quality on the ball, he's pacey, he does play as a wing-back, but, you know, we might be playing with wing-backs next season if we get Thomas Tuchel in. Who knows? He's played with wing-backs before. You know, that might be the way that we're going. I don't think we will. I think United will play with a back four, but, you know, we could play as a back four. It's competition for Dalot. competition for Dalot, you're going to have 2 left backs. You're going to have Luke Shaw and the new left back we're going to bring in at left back, and you're going to have Dalot and Frimpong for right back. So it depends. You know, you even could play him on the right wing. Who knows? Who knows where Frimpong would play for Manchester United? But I don't think you can write him off as a fullback. I think he can play as a fullback. It'd be interesting to see if he could do it in the Premier League. It'd be tough. It'd be a challenge. But I don't think you can just say because he's played as part of a wing back this season, oh, he's only a wing back now. Like, give him the opportunity to be playing a back four, and then we'll see. And then we'll see how it goes. But I can understand why people want a different profile. I have said earlier on in the season that Frimpong would be a risk. It'd be a risk because he is a very progressive, attacking fullback. You need a very, very, very strong centre defensive partnership to kind of cover that, and hopefully we will have that going for new centre backs in the summer, which we have to do. Court of Sides just put out, Manchester United are ready to enter talks into Barcelona with defender Araujo's agent ahead of a potential transfer move this summer. Interesting stuff. Araujo is on the list. Again, we are interested in him. He's going to be too expensive though for 80 million. I don't think it'll happen. Flash Talk says, Beth, any more vids going on your YouTube channel? I did vlog the Burnley game, but I've been a bit under the weather today and yesterday, so I've not had a chance to edit it and put it out. I might edit it and put it out tonight. Is people still interested in seeing the Burnley game vlog? Or is that a bit done and dusted now? Let me know in the comments. I could put it out tonight. Yeah, could do. Thank you for your super chat and your interest in that. Lastly, on the Tuchel and the Erik Ten Hag thing, it's coming out here from... Let me get it in. Yeah, so there's a quote coming in from Marcel van der Kraan, and it is that Alex Cruz, who is the technical director of Ajax, is prepared to wait another month to see if Erik Ten Hag will take the managerial job at Ajax by June the 1st. So basically, Ajax's technical director is waiting to see if Ten Hag gets sacked. Because if he does, Ten Hag will probably get the Ajax job. Interesting that a club that has worked with Ten Hag for years and Ten Hag, you know, had his most success at, are very willing to bring him back and obviously want to bring him back. So keep an eye on that, because we know that Ajax will take Erik Ten Hag back in a heartbeat, and they're basically actively waiting to see if Erik Ten Hag gets sacked to bring him back. What are your thoughts on that one? And then lastly, I wanted to bring in a couple more things where I'm trying to find them. I've got so much to get into this morning. There's been new news that's come out as well. Let's get a super chat while I wait on that one. A lot of people saying Ajax is his level. I mean, Ajax is different to the Premier League. I agree with that. Paz Meyer says, Ten Hag in, why not give him time? I would let some players go instead of starting a whole process again. This repetitive manager sacking process has to be stopped. Well, yeah, that's the train I'm on. Even though I'm really frustrated and so disappointed in Man United's season, I know there's more than just one factor than the manager, and I just think United have been poor for season upon season. Why don't we at least just give him the chance under the new ownership? If it doesn't work next year, it don't work. But what rush are we in? We've not been competing for Premier Leagues and Champions Leagues for a long time now. For a long time. It's not just going to happen again overnight. What rush are we in? Like, instead of restarting the process, let's just give him a year under this new structure, and if it doesn't work, then we can have a look and see... And then see what managerial outfits are out there. There might be better ones there at that point in time. So yeah. Anyway, that's what I had to say on the Tuchel and Erik Ten Hag stuff. This is something I wanted to bring in. And it's on the spending of Manchester United. So I think it was a tweet from, was it the Swedish Mafia on Twitter? It was an account on Twitter that I really like, and I wanted to bring it into the show. So he said that Manchester United fans, I see people saying it's ridiculous that we can't even get into the top 4 after spending 380 million on transfers. And he said we've actually spent significantly less on new signings, transfer fees, wages, agent fees, sign-on fees than City and Chelsea and less than Arsenal since Erik Ten Hag came in, and just a little bit more than Liverpool. From finishing 6th in the Premier League, the squad that Erik Ten Hag took over Pogba, Ronaldo, De Gea, Matic, Cavani, Sancho, and Greenwood, Fred, Garner, Pereira, Mata, and many others have been removed, and Martial is done. The notion that we easily, should have been able to take over Ollie's squad, remove a big portion of the best performers and spend less than our rivals and still compete is ridiculous. And it sets a horrible context for the pressure of the Glazers/INEOS to support the club going forward. This squad needs support and it needs heavy investments, and we must stop doing our rivals' work for them. So I thought that was a really interesting tweet, because a lot of people talk about, the amount of money that Erik Ten Hag spent. And yeah, he has spent money, and do not get me wrong, there's been mistakes been made. 70 million on Casemiro was a mistake. Spending that much on Antony was a mistake. It is a mistake. Like, I even look back at, Erik Ten Hag talent ID. Like, this is somebody who we could have had Núñez, Gakpo and Antony as our front three. If Erik Ten Hag had his way. He wanted Gakpo, he wanted Núñez. To be fair, I actually rate Núñez from Liverpool. I do, and I know he's not the best finisher, but I actually think he's got a lot of potential there. And, Antony, again, is a question mark. And then you look at some of the other players he's wanted and he's not managed to get. And there is question marks there with Erik Ten Hag's talent ID. Of course there is. There's big question marks. And the money we've spent, we have overspent on players that probably aren't worth the money that we originally, that we've paid for them. Like, I was looking at who's Manchester United's signing of the season, this season, and it has to be Onana. And even that is it's slim pickings that Onana is our sign of the season. That shows it shows where our transfer windows have been at, really. So yeah, Erik Ten Hag has made mistakes in terms of the profile he's gone for. Not the profiles, but the players he's gone for. Because I think he's gone around the right profiles. Maybe the players that we've gone for and the amount of money we've spent. But realistically, we have spent significantly less transfer fees, wages, agent fees and sign-on fees than City, Chelsea and Arsenal since Ten Hag came in, and only a little bit more than Liverpool. And everyone says, oh, it's amazing what Jurgen Klopp's doing with such a low budget. And we've lost Pogba, Ronaldo, De Gea, Matic, Cavani, Sancho, Greenwood, Fred, Garner, Pereira, Mata. These are all players that, not all of them, Garner, Pereira, Mata all ended up being fringe players in the end, but, Ronaldo, massive. Pogba, big performer for us. Cavani, Matic was massive. Sancho was a performer for us. We've lost important players and we've not replaced them properly. So I think we should be putting pressure on INEOS and the Glazers to spend money. We should be massively investing in this squad, and it does need a massive clear out. It's not at the quality of what Man United need. It's nowhere near it. Ten Hag's having to play youth. Okay, yeah, I'm happy with the way he's brought youth through, but he's having to overplay youth because of the lack of quality we have within the squad. And he's having to rely on youth because of the lack of the quality we have in the squad. The quality of the squad is poor and it needs investment. And that's something I wanted to bring up because it's something that I think I would like to see Ten Hag be given investment with a recruitment team around him that's doing the majority of the recruitment. And I'd be interested to see what that would look like. But yeah, that's where we're at on the show. Tuchel does look like the front runner at the moment, but I do think it's a lot of agent work. Of course, Tuchel, even when he came to Old Trafford with Bayern Munich, he was glazing about Old Trafford and Manchester United. You could already tell he was kind of angling a little bit. He obviously would want the Man United job. He's out of a job in the summer, and what manager, kind of wouldn't want to move in, to a new era at one of the biggest clubs in English football. So I think he wants the United job. I think there's a lot of agent work going on, but Erik Ten Hag, Melissa Reddy said at the weekend he could be talking himself out of the job. I honestly don't think any decision's been made yet, but if I had to say what I think will happen, I think Ten Hag will probably leave come end of the season, but I don't think it's the right decision to make as of now. But that's where we're at. Centre-back wise, Todibo, Todibo, Rojo, Branthwaite, keep an eye on all them names. I think Todibo is basically nailed on. Who the second centre-back will be, we'll have to wait and see. It depends where we can get Everton's price down to on Branthwaite. I don't think it'll be a Rojo and I don't think it'll be Todibo. And yeah, this season needs to end quickly. It needs to end quickly. We look absolutely mentally and physically exhausted. We're running on fumes in terms of the amount of players we have available. The whole fan base and the squad just seems down. We're getting injuries left, right and centre. We just need to write off this season and invest in this. I'm excited for the summer transfer window, because the reason I'm excited for it is because we need investment. And I know we're on a tight budget, we keep getting told financial fair play, but we need investment. The quality of the squad isn't good enough, and if we want to start next season as we mean to go on, we need to make sure we invest. We don't only need to invest in players, we need to invest in the medical team as well, because injuries can't be happening the same way that they've happened this season. But look, everyone, I'm going to leave it there. Get in the comments what you think. The poll on Tuchel and Ten Hag. Ten Hag is winning by 80% over Tuchel. Wow, that is an absolute landslide with nearly 3,000 votes. I expected it to be more on the side of Tuchel, I'm going to be honest, especially after that Burnley game. But I think people can see past the manager's deficiencies and see all the other areas that need addressing as well. Thomas Tuchel, again, not someone I'm massively excited for, and I'm like, yes, get Ten Hag out to bring Tuchel in, but not somebody that I'm opposed to. Get in the comments what you think. Hit a like on the video, and I will see you on the next one. Have a lovely Monday, everyone.